You're watching Life on Video. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life on Video. Today we're at the Perot Museum of Nature and Science in Dallas, Texas. Let's check it out. Okay, something you need to know before you come to the Perot Museum of Nature and Science. You have to understand that they do operate on a time schedule here, and when you purchase an entry time, that is that entry time. So we got here at like 11:30, and we couldn't actually purchase entrance until 1:30. So we have 2 hours to kill until we can actually go in to the museum. It's unfortunate, but rules are rules, right? Let's see it. Outside of the museum, they have this little water exhibit that the kids are allowed to play in, a little leapfrog area that you can kill some time at. They have this dining area right up here on the patio, and then inside they have some places that you can purchase food. They also have a barbecue stand outside, taqueria outside, or taqueria outside. And then down here, there's a few more outdoor things you can do. They have, of course, the chimes that you can play with the mallets. These outdoor things obviously come in handy for us because we can't go in for another hour. So we gotta find something to do because we're in downtown Dallas. It's not just like you can walk down to a park or something like that. There's not a ton of stuff around because you're central downtown, so it's not really kid-centric, business-centric, and there's not a ton of stuff down here, so we'll kill an hour out here. Now, in this sign, you see the Perot family, and that is talking about Ross Perot and Margot Perot. Ross Perot being the successful businessman and the once independent presidential candidate, that Ross Perot. If you look closely here at the top of this glass hall, this is actually an escalator taking you to one of the top floors. You'll see this skeletal T-Rex up there, fossilized, that meets you as soon as you come off the escalator. It seems like the general consensus of what everybody does is show up, get their time, and then just hang out here. It's busy out here. There are lots of people out here. Though we did have to wait outside for a little bit, and it was a bummer at the time, the kids had a great time. There was lots of things to keep them occupied. You can also walk in, and directly across is the gift shop you can walk around to. If you're watching this video, please take a second and subscribe, like the video. It helps the content, helps the channel. We'd love to see you back here for more of our content in the future. Finally made it in. We're heading down to the Children's Museum, which is downstairs. So we're now in the Children's Museum, and this is very standard for a children's museum. You know, really interactive for the kids. Since this is a nature and science museum, they do have some critters here. And right here, a Western hognose snake. Yeah, there's a snake in there. Tarantulas, turtles, spiders, golf toad in here, right there. That's really cool. For those of you that have maybe never taken your kids to a children's museum, this is what you can expect at a children's museum. There's lots of playing, lots of make-believe, lots of play grocery stores, water tables are a big thing, and then some little playgrounds. Obviously, my older kids, my boys that are 7 and 8, they couldn't really go in here. This was capped out, I believe, at 5 years old. But my daughter, she's only 4, she had a blast. This is what a children's museum is supposed to be. Experiences at this museum are going to definitely differ from ours because we're here right now during spring break, which it's not only spring break for us in Arizona, it's spring break for everybody here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So these places are slam-packed right now. And right now we're going to head into the Lamar Hunt Family Sports Hall. I've got to be honest, this place was awesome. When you walk in, immediately over here to your left, you have like this 20-yard dash
that's digital and virtually controlled, and you have a little computer where you can select a person, an animal, a creature, a mascot from a team that you would like to race, and you can race them. And then over here, you have lots of science behind sports movement, shooting a basketball, throwing a baseball, gymnastics, stuff like that. And this experience right here is a high-speed camera. So what happens is you get to go in there, you press a button, it'll count you down, and then you can jump rope, you can shoot a basketball, you can kick a soccer ball, you could do a backflip, and then when you're done, you can come out and frame by frame, you can watch that action back and see how good you did, where you can improve. It's something that professional athletes use at high, very elite performance facilities.
A couple stations to test your fast reaction muscles. Okay, if there's one thing I'm going to say about this place straight off the jump is it's too small. This is an amazing exhibit. It deserves way more room than what it's got. That's one of the downfalls when you build downtown. There's not a lot of room to expand unless you expand up, but expanding out, there's not a ton of room, but this is an awesome exhibit. Man, this exhibit, it's so small. This is it. That's unfortunate, especially being in a state like Texas that's very sports centric. I mean, I get it, science and nature museum. It's not a sports museum, but when you're gonna put cool things like this in this museum, man, you gotta expand it out. This is awesome. The elevators are super congested, so we're taking the stairs and now the escalator up to the 4th floor, and then we'll work our way back down. This has to be one of the things I'm most excited about to see here. Everything in here is just supposed to be next level. Even this model, wow. That's amazing. What is this, guys? A footprint? Dang. Footprint. And then you come in and you get a whole look at all of these fossils they have. And they have a lot of fossils. Wow. Check that out. This is awesome. You can even see right here they have a turtle. What I think is a sea turtle. Could be something else.
A lot of the fossils here are really cool to see because a lot of them I've never seen before. And they have this really cool thing here called a discovery pod. And you can come over and you can watch these employees here, which are dressed like paleontologists or geologists, and they very well could be. It didn't say if they were or not, but what they're doing is they have this stone that they're forming and carving the fossils out of. So not every fossil in a fossil museum is going to be real, but here you get an up close and personal view of how they make these fossils and how they make them look so real. It was really cool because the camera work inside of this whole exhibit here is very detailed. It's hard to make out on the screen, but you can see her making the squiggles for like stress fractures and different things like that. It was really, really awesome to see. Unique, never really seen it at another one. And it does help you put in perspective that not all these fossils are real, but they are doing their best to make you feel they're real.
These are amazing. I mean, from the looks of these fossils, they're fake, or they're just really well preserved, but they're really cool to look at. Lots of different angles and different dinosaurs that you don't typically see in museums, so I can appreciate that for sure. And these full life models of what they actually look like are realistic. They're very nice too. Really good view from up above of the whole lower floor. But you walk up the stairs, And there's even more of the exhibit up here. This upstairs portion is all bird related. So they have exhibits where you can try to fly like a bird, you can build your own bird, and then just lots of displays about birds, stuff like that. Lots of information. If you find your favorite bird and want to know more about it. Headed into the dynamic earth hall. This is where you're going to learn about all the elements on land, sea, and air. One tip, if I can give you one, if you can skip bringing a stroller, you're gonna get through here a lot faster. Everybody we've seen with a stroller has to wait at the elevator, and I can tell you, everybody and their mom is waiting at the elevator, stroller or not. So you can skip a stroller, you'll get through a lot faster. Cool exhibit here where you can move the sand, and this projection camera right here will help do the land grading for you. Pretty cool. There's an earthquake simulator right here as well. It's pretty cool. Crazy thing is, I was actually in an earthquake when I lived in Japan. It made me motion sickness. I didn't know what was going on. I was kind of leaned up on a counter and an earthquake started, and I just kind of felt like I was spinning, got dizzy. Luckily, nothing collapsed. It was a minor earthquake, but it definitely registered. It was crazy.
Now we're going to make our way into Gems and Mineral Hall. This exhibit is beautifully put together. You can see the floor plan layout here. It's a lot more wide than some of the other exhibits, and everything is lined along the walls. So all of the gems and minerals that you're going to see are all along the wall, so you can kind of just follow a line or just poke your head in when you want to see the gems and minerals, kind of like this one right here. And I gotta be honest, they had quite a few gems and minerals here that I had never really seen and never knew existed. They were quite boggling to look at. And a really good example of one of those is the stibnite.
That's really interesting. It almost looks metal.
Along with this stibnite, the list goes on of the many fascinating gems and minerals that they were able to collect and put into this exhibit. This exhibit was also really cool. This is what's known as a geode. You know, it's one of those rocks that are cracked open, and in the middle there's a bunch of crystals and minerals inside of it. This one is massive. I believe it's 2,700 pounds, but it's on this reel right here, and you just reel it, you can close it back together, and it'll form two perfect halves into one rock. And then you can open it right back up to see all the gems inside. And then as you walk a little bit further back, you're going to get into more of the molecular and the gaseous part of this exhibit, where they're going to go over a lot about natural gas, fossil fuels, different things like that. They even have a couple of newer model E-style cars or alternate fuel cars back here that they're looking at building in the future.
This is the inner workings of a sucker rod pump. So something that's like that, this is what it's doing inside. Honestly, never knew that's how it works. That makes a lot of sense now. Huh. This portion over here is about drilling and oil rigs. And if that's life size, which I imagine it probably is, that it's gigantic. I would imagine it could only be bigger, not smaller. And a cool little diagram over here of what an ocean oil rig looks like compared to your typical oil rig you would see on land. So they don't have to actually cut through all those layers like you do on land. You just got instant access to the bottom. It's just a matter of building that structure to get it. So what you commonly see from the top, seeing it in that perspective is actually really cool. Never really thought about that. You don't have to cut through all those layers. I mean, it's kind of obvious. I guess that's why I don't think about it, but pretty interesting. We've made it down to the Discovering Life Hall. What you're going to see in here is a lot of ecosystem stuff, more fossils, plant life, animal life, just more scientific information about all those aspects. She's alive. One nice thing about all of these nature and science museums is they really replicate everything after Texas landscape, Texas history, Texas Ice Age, everything like that. So you really do get a good representation of what used to be in Texas, or like this right here, what currently is in Texas. The only thing I'm not seeing, I see a snake right there. I just don't see a rattlesnake. But there are cardinals, hawks. This right here, I think that's a javelina. Or it could be a wild boar, but it looks like a javelina because it doesn't have tusks. Let's see if we can find out what it is. Definitely a javelina. It's called a collared peccary, but when you look it up, it says other common names are javelina. They're a weird creature. They're all over Arizona. This hall is sponsored by Texas Instruments. This is the Engineering and Innovation Hall. Wow. Lots going on down here. 12 lights. All has to do with coding. You got a whole battle box experience going on over here. It's really cool. This is a cool hall.
This exhibit right here is really cool. This is what is known as a punch card, and the table itself is resemblant of what a punch card would look like. Obviously, it's in a massive size, but back in the day with the supercomputers, when they were like the first computers around, I just recently read a book about how Bill Gates started with his coding and stuff like that, and you had to use these supercomputers, and what it was is you grabbed a punch card and you would punch all these holes into it, pop it into the supercomputer, and that was the coding to tell the supercomputer to do what you needed it to do. This is the same thing in a massive size.
More robots. Yeah, this is just an absolute hands-on experience here. A sand table where you can draw in a pattern, and the magnet below will take it on a trip. Overall, it is super busy. Man, we should have came last week. So I think this week is spring break. Last week we were on spring break as well as this week, but I don't think Texas was last week, so we should have came last week. But hey, it's still a cool museum. It's just busy.
This experience right here was pretty cool. It's called a wooden mirror, and when you stand on this box, the wood blocks, they move in a way to reflect whatever you're doing as a mirror. Awesome. Now we've made our way down to the Science Behind Pixar exhibit. This is a separate cost, but I absolutely thought it was worth it, and after going through it, it definitely was worth it. We're a big Disney family, so when we saw there was a Disney exhibit here where we could go see all this Pixar stuff, we thought that'd be fun for the kids. It had a lot of hands-on activities for the kids. It really engaged their minds. Stuff like this. A table that has all of these 2D shapes on top of it. And what you do is you grab one of them, you twist it, and it shows you what kind of shape it can form. And then they show you how they take that shape and place it into a movie prop in a computer-generated image.
This station right here, you can actually build your own hood for your car in cars. You get all these decals and it fits it perfectly onto the hood. These are all the stages that it takes to get a movie through production. Story art, modeling, rigging, creating surfaces, sets and cameras where you find the angles, animation where you smooth out what everybody's doing, got the simulation, lighting and rendering. One of the cool things, we watched a video that they said about the lighting is that when the productions come to the lighting stage, there's zero light in the film at that point. They have to add in every single lighting detail to brighten that scene. It's impressive. They showed a scene of Ratatouille. It was just a still shot and said it had 140 different lights in that still shot. That's impressive. Everything in here is so hands-on. I like it. Really does help spark the interest of the kids, you know. They think it's all computers that do all of this stuff. You know, a lot of times they forget that there are humans behind that magic. Whether it's building the computers or building the sequences that have the computers do the output. These are all things that are possible for kids to do when they grow up and get older. It's a cool exhibit. Gotta be honest, I didn't know if my kids would be too impressed with this, but they're digging it. When you think about games like Minecraft and Roblox and different things like that, where they're constantly building and making things, I guess this is kind of right up that alley, you know?
Braylon, tell Daddy where you're going.
Daddy, come here.
I'm right here, babe. What are you doing? Tell me what you're doing.
Are you cleaning your room?
Get those cups. No, the bag.
One thing I took interest in being a content creator myself is the amount of time it takes to render. It can take days for Pixar to render just a single scene for production. So they have to make sure they have it right the first time because nobody has time to wait 3 days for a scene to render to realize you have to do it again.
This exhibit here shows you motion of water, how they digitally do it versus how it really happens, and different things they use to simulate water so they can recreate it virtually for you. Impressive. And of course, it wouldn't be a Disney exhibit if you didn't exit through the gift shop. Oh man. Books, shirts, toys. That's what they got here. And this really looks like the backlot, what was it? The backlot studio in Hollywoodland at DCA where they have the marble exhibit. You know, they have the nice lighting. It's very dark, but all the merchandise is highlighted and everything is black around it other than that.
What a well put together exhibit by Disney. This was a beautiful Pixar exhibit, very fun, the kids had a blast, and before we headed upstairs, we had to head back over to the sports exhibit because it had died down a little bit, and the kids were actually able to take advantage of this 20-yard dash. And now we're back upstairs at the beginning in the main gift shop.
As soon as you walk into the museum, you're greeted by the gift shop. This gift shop's actually really cool. Lots of scientific books, gems, minerals, different trinkets and stuff like that for the kids. Lots of shirts. They have a lot of NASA stuff here too. So you get a whole NASA suit for the kid right there. They got a lot of NASA shirts, NASA hats. And then you obviously have your Perot merch that you can get. All kinds of shirts. And here's a bunch of your scientific stuff right here. Little toys. They have your typical slime. This gift shop's really nice. There's actually a lot of things in here that are worth the purchase. Worth getting. It's not so much toy centric. It's more, you know, stuffed animal, memorabilia, item centric. So lots of things that you can get for the kids and they'll be able to take home and it'll last for a while instead of 5 minutes after you leave they're broke. And that's gonna do it from the Perot Nature and Science Museum here in Dallas, Texas. Gotta say, we had a blast, but it was super packed. I would say definitely don't come during spring break, come at a different time.
And this Pixar exhibit that I'm in right now is absolutely amazing. It's a traveling Pixar exhibit. It's been here since November. I'm not sure how much longer it's going to be here or where it's going next, but what a great experience to come see this too. When it comes to these nature and science museums, Fort Worth has a really, really nice one. It's a lot bigger. Like I said, downtown Dallas, you don't have much room to build out. You can build up, but you can't really build out. So it does feel a little compact in some of the areas, but it's a nice museum. But definitely, if this one is super packed, go to the Fort Worth one. The Fort Worth one is great. It's only probably about an hour drive from here, maybe 40 minutes. You can go to that one. Also, please understand this is strict timeline adherence. So when you book this place, you have to book a specific time to come in, and you must abide by that time as well. So book before you come. Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for more content here on Life on Video. Later.